The New York Giants just got an incredibly positive report coming out of the voluntary mini camps that they're holding right now. Let's talk about it. My name is Paul. This is Big Apple Sports. Thanks for tuning in. Take just a quick second, like and subscribe. It really helps me out, and you don't want to miss out on all the Giants content I'm putting out. We are less than 2 weeks away from the NFL draft, so tons of Giants news will be coming in the next couple weeks. Don't miss out on that. But for right now, the Giants have begun their voluntary mini camps. And I think the one big thing everybody wants to know is how's the team looking? Like, what are we seeing from the players? What does Harbaugh think of his new team here? And everything, for better or for worse, always is going to start with the quarterback position. And that is where we are today. Got an incredibly promising update about Jackson Dart. So I'm going to talk about that, kind of talk about why I think he is in for a huge season, compare some of his stats to some other quarterbacks heading into their year two, and then I'm going to finish talking about just why I truly believe he is going to take the leap this year. So let's dive into all that. First things first, it sounds like he's making an incredible impression with this new coaching staff. Harbaugh talking about like his first meeting, he said, we were just doing like some film study talking about installing the offense, and I was just super impressed with his focus and attentiveness. I saw him reacting to it and interacting. I asked him what he thought about it. He seems excited, and it was fun to see the offense up on the screen, and it was great to see Jackson right there taking his notes. That was awesome, so it was a good start. And you love to hear that from your quarterback because, like I said, leadership starts at the top, obviously with the coaching staff, but then your quarterback has to be bought in. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize about Jackson Dart is like you see the gold chains and the celebrations and the crazy outfits, and I think everybody thinks he's this like flashy me kind of player. But when he gets in that film room, when he's practicing, he's incredibly competitive, he's focused, he wants to win, he's got the drive, and he's already blowing away this new coaching staff. Matt Nagy kind of added on and said, look, one thing I love about Jackson is he wants to be the best. He really does. He wants to be coached hard and have that discipline. And that's something you don't see a ton from some of these young guys. Like, I'm not going to go into some big rant talking about how soft we've become as a society, but you really do see that a lot these days, that people don't want to be coached hard. They don't want to be pushed or yelled at. But so to see that Jackson Dart wants that, he wants to be pushed, is a great sign. And like that's how you know somebody really has bought into a coaching staff, and that's how you know that like the coaching staff really believes in a player is when they're coaching him hard as well. You kind of have that give and take there. And so I love to see that. And it's something we saw last season too. I'll never forget listening to when Tom Brady covered one of the Giants games. He was talking about Jackson Dart, and he was like, look, this kid has all the QB1 traits I look for. And he wasn't talking about, like we all know, he's got the athleticism, he's got the arm, he's got the accuracy. We always knew that. But it's what Brady said that goes on behind the scenes is what's so important here. Because Brady, go back and look at his combine. Like, he's not a great athlete. Like, he was never someone who had the strongest arm, the best, mobility. Like, he is who he is because of his work ethic, his drive, the way he wanted to be the best, the way he pushed himself, his mentality, his belief, all of that. And he talked about how Jackson Dart has all of those QB1 traits. And he said, like, when I look at quarterbacks and look at how they answer questions, I think, how would I answer that question? And he said Jackson Dart sounded exactly how he would have sounded. He took accountability for all the mistakes. It was right after that horrible Broncos loss, where honestly, I think every single person in the world, and rightfully so, was pointing at the defense for how many points they gave up to the Broncos in the fourth quarter. Dart was looking at himself. And Tom Brady went on to say, like, look, he's super competitive. He said to me on the call this week, Tom, I'm not into moral victories. I've got to make better plays. The team's counting on him, or the team's counting on me. And I love that. Like, it would have been very easy for the team to say, like, hey, we're early on into Jackson Dart's career and we're already hanging with a potential playoff team. But That's not good enough for Jackson Dart. He wants to win. Like, he just has that drive and competitiveness, and you love to see it. And I don't know why there's not more hype about him coming into year two. Like, when you talk about like all the up and coming players in the NFL this year, he doesn't get the love that he should. I'm going to pull up a graphic here. Let me see. There we go. So this is looking at Jackson Dart's rookie year, Drake May's rookie year, Caleb Williams' rookie year, and Cam Ward's rookie year. And you can see Caleb and Cam Ward had more total yards, but they played all 17 games. Jackson Dart was credited with 14, but 2 of those came while Russell Wilson was the starter, and all he did was ran a read option, and I think handed it off even. So he really did this in 12 games. I think Drake May played in 13, but only Drake May had a higher completion percentage. Jackson Dart easily had the most touchdowns, had the least amount of interceptions, had the highest QBR, and had the highest traditional quarterback rating. So for all the people who are like, yeah, he has a great QBR because he had so many rushing touchdowns and is a good runner, just looking at the traditional passing quarterback rating, he still was higher than Drake May, Caleb Williams, and Cam Ward. And something I don't really understand is I think right now there's this narrative that like the Giants haven't done enough to surround him with talent. And I think you even have people looking at Cam Ward, especially wait until if they end up drafting Jeremiah Love. You're going to have all these people talking about, oh, this incredible Titans offense. They went out and got Wan'Dale Robinson and Jeremiah Love, and Cam Ward's going to take the year 2 leap. But I really think Jackson Dart is the guy to focus in on for that year 2 leap. Because for one, obviously he had the better rookie year by far than Cam Ward. But you look at Jackson Dart last year, his best receiver was Wan'Dale Robinson. Wide receiver 2 was Darius Slayton. This year, Wan'Dale Robinson, yeah, he left. But now your wide receiver 1 is Malik Nabers. There's been super positive reports that he's going to be ready by the start of the NFL season. He'll probably be on the PUP list for training camp, and you're not going to see much of him. But they are expecting him to be ready for week 1. And so he's going from Wan'Dale, probably like a mid-end, low-end wide receiver 2 as his wide receiver 1, up to Malik Nabers, who's easily a top 10 receiver in the NFL and has best receiver in the game kind of talent. And so when you compare that to like Cam Ward, who his best receiver now is probably Wan'Dale Robinson. Maybe you could say Calvin Ridley, but he just hasn't really shown much since he came back from whatever it was that happened. He was injured and suspended and all that. But I don't really know what you can expect out of him right now. But for the Giants, not only do they have Malik Nabers, I think you could make an argument that Darnell Mooney is probably as good of a receiver as Wan'Dale Robinson. He didn't have his best year last year. Some of that was just the Falcons' offense was garbage, and they realized, look, we're only good if we hand the ball off to Bijan. But like Darnell Mooney, his best season with Matt Nagy for the Bears is, I think you could strongly argue that it is better than Wan'Dale Robinson's best season. And then not to mention Calvin Austin, and then maybe the biggest addition the Giants have made on offense is Isaiah Likely. And Harbaugh has said, you can take it to the bank, Isaiah Likely is going to have better stats in New York than he did in Baltimore. Like Mark Andrews very well might be a Hall of Fame tight end. He always had to split time with him, and now he's going to be more of the focal point of the offense. And so you just look at this lineup, and I think it's better than any one of those QBs I compared, except for maybe what Caleb Williams had with Luther Burden, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Colston. Like, that was a very talented offense. But you compare it to what like Drake May had on the Patriots with like a pretty rough O-line, Stefon Diggs probably as his best receiver. Then you compare it to Cam Ward, who clearly doesn't have the weapons that Jackson Dart had, maybe even last year, but especially not this year. And I think Jackson Dart really is primed to potentially have like an MVP caliber season. And I know when I say that, people are going to be like, Paul, you clearly are biased. You're looking at things through Giants colored goggles. And like, yeah, I am. I'm not going to deny that. I run a Giants YouTube channel. Of course, I'm going to see things through a Giants lens. But at the same time, the statistics don't lie. And you look at him, like you look at rookie Jackson Dart compared to rookie Drake May, and it's easy to see Jackson Dart was better. And year two, Jackson Dart's going to have better weapons. They both have like a lot of similarities in the fact that they both brought in a new head coach for year two, someone who's had success in the NFL. You could definitely say that John Harbaugh has had more success than Mike Vrabel has. Maybe not off the field with women like Mike Vrabel's been having, but on the field in terms of winning the football game. John Harbaugh has definitely had more success. And Drake May went out and he put up what I think a lot of people felt like should have been the MVP season. Matt Stafford ended up winning it, but Drake May was right there with him. So it's not crazy to say that Jackson Dart, who is better as a rookie than Drake May, can take that kind of leap and have that kind of season, especially given that now he's got Malik Neighbors, Darnell Mooney, Isaiah Likely, Calvin Austin, still got Theo Johnson, Cam Scadaboo, Tyrone Tracy. Like, this team is loaded with weapons, and I think Jackson Dart's in for a monster season. So you got, like, the only thing that can stop a team that has this kind of talent going, this kind of, like, young, up-and-coming players like Dart, is if that player's not bought in and if that player's not putting in the effort. So to see him coming in, even in voluntary camp, and immediately, like, I'm taking notes, I'm going to learn this, I'm ready to win, like, that's the mentality that he needs to have, and that's the mentality that is going to make him great. So you got to be super hyped for that, Giants fans. It's been a long time since we've seen good quarterback play. You got to go back to some of Eli's better years, because even at the end of his career, he was pretty rough, and then the Daniel Jones era, and it has been a long time since we've gotten to see a great quarterback, and it's going to be refreshing. We're going to see it this year. I'm super hyped about it. I know you guys are too. Comment below. Give me your thoughts on any of that. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit that like button too, and I'll be catching you with some more Giants content soon.